The emergency beacon screamed through Cal's helmet as his ship tore through the thick fog. Engines sputtering their final gasps. The navigation system had failed hours ago, leaving him blind in the dense mist that seemed to swallow light itself. When the hull finally scraped against jagged rocks, the impact sent him tumbling through the cockpit like a ragdoll. Silence. That's what hit him first when consciousness returned, not the pain in his RIBS or the metallic taste of blood, but the absolute, unnatural quiet that pressed against his eardrums. No bird calls, no insect buzzes, no wind through leaves, just the distant whisper of waves against stone. Cal dragged himself from the wreckage, inventory taking precedence over panic. His survival pack had survived, along with enough rations for a week if he stretched them. The emergency beacon was dead, its circuits fried by whatever electromagnetic field had scrambled his instruments. The fog hung around him like a living thing, shifting and coiling with purpose. Through the mist, shapes emerged, structures that defied easy categorization. They weren't quite buildings, weren't quite sculptures, but something between the two. Spiraling towers of black stone twisted skyward, their surfaces covered in symbols that seemed to shift when he wasn't looking directly at them. The architecture spoke of a civilization that had understood forces beyond human comprehension. He made camp in what might have been a courtyard, using salvaged metal from his ship to create a basic shelter. As night fell, the fog grew thicker, and the symbols on the surrounding structures began to emit a faint, pulsing light. That's when he felt it, the sensation of being watched. Movement in his peripheral vision made him turn, but there was only mist and shadow. Yet the feeling persisted, growing stronger as the hours passed. Something was out there, studying him with the patience of centuries. Not malevolent, exactly, but ancient and sad beyond measure. When he finally glimpsed her, a tall, graceful silhouette between the twisted spires, his breath caught, even through the fog. He could see the otherworldly quality of her form, the way she moved like water given shape. She watched him for a long moment before melting back into the shadows, leaving only the echo of profound loneliness hanging in the air. Cal settled back against his makeshift shelter, strangely unafraid. Whatever lived on this island, it was as alone as he was. Dawn brought no sun, only a gradual lightening of the perpetual fog that shrouded the island. Cal had slept fitfully, aware throughout the night of that watching presence. He'd left a portion of his rations outside his shelter, not as an offering, but as an invitation. The food was gone. He found her by the largest spire, standing motionless as a statue carved from moonlight. In the pale morning light, she was breathtaking. In her alienness, her skin held the soft luminescence of pearl, tinged with the faintest blue like winter sky at twilight. Pink curls cascaded past her shoulders, catching what little light filtered through the fog. She was tall, perhaps 7 feet, with limbs that spoke of grace and hidden strength. But it was her eyes that captured him, deep violet pools that held the weight of centuries, and a sorrow so profound it made his chest ache in sympathy. "You should run," she said, her voice carrying the musical quality of wind chimes. "They always run." Cal stayed seated on the stone where he'd been eating his meager breakfast. "Should I? You haven't given me a reason to." Her head tilted, confusion flickering across her features. "I am Vera. I am the guardian of this place, the keeper of powers that your kind cannot comprehend. Those who have found this island speak of me as a monster, a demon to be feared and fled from." "What do you speak of yourself as?" The question seemed to startle her. For a moment, her composure cracked, revealing something vulnerable beneath. I am alone. I have been alone for so very long." Cal stood slowly, his movements deliberate and non-threatening. "I'm Cal, and I'm sorry. You've been alone." She took a step back, but not in fear and disbelief. "You do not fear me. Why? Others see my form and flee. They sense the power I guard and know instinctively that I am dangerous." "Maybe," Cal said gently, "they're running from the wrong thing. Maybe they're running from their own fear, not from you." Vera's eyes widened, and for the first time, he saw something other than sorrow in them. Hope. Fragile and uncertain, but real. She moved closer, studying his face as if memorizing every detail. "You crashed here," she observed. "Your vessel is damaged beyond your ability to repair." "Seems that way." I could help you leave. There are ways. Kale met her gaze steadily. What if I don't want to leave just yet? The hope in her eyes blazed brighter, and the fog around them seemed to shimmer with sudden warmth. Over the following days, Vera became his guide through the mysterious sanctuary. She moved through the ancient structures with reverent familiarity, her fingers trailing along symbols that pulsed with soft light at her touch. The ruins, she explained, were far older than human civilization built by her people, before they transcended to higher planes of existence. I was chosen to remain, she said as they stood before a crystalline formation that hummed with barely contained energy, to guard the heart of Ethros, a source of power that could reshape reality itself or destroy it. The crystal formation towered above them, its faceted surface reflecting impossible colors that hurt to look at directly. Kale could feel its pull, a gravitational force that seemed to tug at his very soul. Your people left you here alone, the injustice of it made. His voice tight with anger. Vera's expression grew distant. It was considered an honor. To be chosen as guardian meant I possessed the strength to resist the heart's corruption, while maintaining the barriers that keep its power contained. But they did not anticipate. She paused, her voice breaking slightly. They did not anticipate. The loneliness would be worse than any corruption. How long have you been here? 3 centuries. Perhaps 4. Time moves strangely in the presence of such power. Kale reached out instinctively, his fingers brushing hers. The contact sent a jolt through both of them, not painful, but electric with connection. Vera stared at their joined hands in wonder. In all that time, she whispered, no one has touched me without fear. Even my own people maintain their distance, treating me as sacred, but untouchable. You're not untouchable, Kale said, his thumb tracing across her knuckles. You're just waiting for the right person to reach out. She turned to face him fully, and he saw tears, opalescent drops that caught the crystal's light like liquid starlight. The explorers who found this place, they brought stories back to the mainland. Tales of a blue-skinned demon who guards cursed treasures. They painted me as a monster to be feared and avoided. Let me guess, they never actually talked to you. Fear makes people create their own truths, she said sadly. It was easier for them to believe I was evil than to question why I was here alone. Kale stepped closer, close enough to feel the warmth radiating from her luminous skin. I'm not them. I don't need easy answers. When she smiled, the first true smile he'd seen from her, it was like watching the sun break through storm clouds. The very air around them seemed to pulse with renewed life. The sanctuary had become their shared world, a place where the outside universe felt impossibly distant. Vera showed him chambers filled with star maps and impossible geometries, rooms where gravity flowed like water and time moved in spirals. But it was in the quiet moments between wonders that their connection deepened. She found him one evening tending to a cut on his arm, sustained while exploring a collapsed section of the ruins. Without a word, she knelt beside him, her hands glowing with soft blue light. Let me, she murmured, her fingers hovering over the wound. The healing energy that flowed from her touch was warm and tingling, but it was the care in her eyes that made his breath catch. Does it hurt? He asked, watching her concentrate. Using your power, not physically, but each time I use it, I'm reminded of what I am, different, other, alone. She finished healing the cut and started to pull away, but his hand caught hers. You're not alone anymore. The words hung between them, heavy with meaning. Vera's eyes searched his face, looking for deception or fear, finding neither. Slowly, hesitantly, she leaned closer until her forehead rested against his. I have forgotten what it means to be touched with kindness, she whispered. Kel's free hand rose to cup her cheek, his thumb tracing the elegant curve of her cheekbone. Her skin was softer than silk, warm despite its ethereal appearance. Then let me remind you, their first kiss was gentle, tentative, a question asked and answered. When they parted, Vera's eyes were bright with unshed tears. I have dreamed of this, she confessed. In my loneliest moments, I dreamed of someone who would see me not as a guardian or a monster, but simply as me. Who are you? Kale asked, his voice barely a whisper. I am Vera. I love the way morning light dances through the fog. I sing to the crystals when I think no one can hear. I collect pretty stones and arrange them in patterns that please me. I am afraid of being forgotten, and I am tired of being strong all the time. He kissed her again, deeper this time, and she melted into him with a soft sigh. When his hands traced the curve of her waist, she shivered with want and wonder. Stay with me tonight, she breathed against his lips. In the chamber she'd made her own, surrounded by the gentle glow of bioluminescent plants she'd cultivated. They discovered each other with reverent slowness. Her skin seemed to capture and hold light, creating patterns that shifted with her breathing. When she gasped his name, it sounded like a prayer. Afterward, as they lay entwined, Vera traced invisible patterns on his chest. I never knew, she murmured, that loneliness could end so completely. 3 weeks had passed since the crash, and Cale had never been happier. The island had become home, Vera his anchor in a universe that suddenly made perfect sense. They spent their days exploring the sanctuary's mysteries, and their nights lost in each other's arms. But reality intruded when Vera approached him one morning, her expression carefully neutral. I have been thinking about your ship, she said, the heart of Ethros. Its power could restore your vessel completely. You could leave this place, return to your people, resume your life. Cale set down the alien fruit he'd been eating, his stomach suddenly tight. Is that what you want? What I want? She turned away, her hands clasped behind her back. What I want is selfish. I want to keep you here, to make you stay in this forgotten place where no one will ever find us. I want to pretend that my duty doesn't matter, that the heart doesn't need its guardian. Vera, but I cannot ask that of you. She faced him again, tears streaming down her luminous cheeks. I cannot ask you to give up everything for someone like me. Cale crossed to her in 3 quick strides, his hands framing her face. Someone like you? You mean someone intelligent, beautiful, kind, and brave enough to sacrifice everything for duty? Someone who sings to crystals and collects pretty stones. Someone who makes me feel like I've been sleepwalking my whole life until I met her. You have a life out there, she protested weakly. I have a job out there. I have obligations and schedules and people who barely know my name. But here, with you, I have something I never thought I'd find. I have love. Her composure cracked completely. You love me, I love you, he said simply. I love your laugh and your tears and the way you glow when you're happy. I love how you've turned duty into devotion and loneliness into strength. I love that you're brave enough to let me in when everyone else has let you down. But if I stay, I get to spend every day with the most amazing woman in the galaxy. If I stay, I get to help you guard something precious. If I stay, I get to make sure you're never alone again. Vera threw her arms around his neck, sobbing with relief and joy. I love you too. I love you so much it frightens me. Then ask me. Cale whispered against her hair. Ask me what you wanted to ask. She pulled back to meet his eyes, her voice trembling with hope. If I asked you to stay forever, would you? Yes, he said without hesitation. Forever, for as long as you'll have me. Their wedding was witnessed by ancient stones and singing crystals, officiated by the aurora that danced around the heart of Ethros. Cale had found his purpose in love, and Vera had found her partner in guardianship. In the sanctuary wrapped in eternal fog, they built a life together, 2 souls who had wandered the universe alone, now complete in each other's arms.